Okay, so we've got this backwater gospel video from like a dozen years ago. I have no idea what this is, but we're about to find out together. Oh, it didn't do the thing today. What the fuck? Just some creepy ass, like, what's it called? Jeepers Creepers coming out and getting people. I like that it has like a very stylized art that's like unique to this as well, instead of being like, oh, we're gonna do our art for this in this way, just like most things look, so that we can appeal to the masses, and instead went for something that's stylized to this artist in the way that they create it. That way it actually is just more appealing in an artistic way. I enjoy things that do that, and it's still clearly a good quality art. It's not just shitty for the sake of being shitty. This is just a good quality. It's just a style that doesn't come across as like smooth or something like you might think looking at like graphical art in most cases, or like watching an anime, or I'd say cartoons, but it seems that cartoons in America have gone backwards as far as artistic progress into something that looks worse than this. It's like if you took this style but you removed the skill from it, and that's what it looks like now. I like that his guitar is also named the Dust Storm. Who's this old dude? He's the priest. Bubba rings the bell. All right. Damn, they broke his guitar string. Dirty shits. That was like a fair statement. He told that dude to submit to the Lord, and he responded with, why don't you try it? Because he's clearly a controlling and spiteful person, and that's not the way that the Bible tells you that you're supposed to be. So, simple counter to people who are doing this type of thing, and people who behave one way and speak another is, especially in regards to teaching the gospel, is exactly what was meant when Jesus said, beware the hypocrites, right? They're telling you to do something, but they are themselves not doing that something. And if you're not following that path to the best of your ability, like, you're going to make mistakes, but you can always seek to do better. And if you're not doing that, then why is anybody following you, kind of a thing. Crows and ravens out there. Yep. See? And then preaching to be fearful like that as well. Also, not the way it's supposed to be done, right? You don't, like, you have to lead by example. And people who preach this way are not leading by example. They're, in fact, just spewing hypocritical lies. And they're doing it either from a place of greed and jealousy and anger, or they're doing it correctly, which comes from the compassion and forgiveness that you're actually supposed to be practicing. No, absolutely abandon him. He only wants you guys to follow him through fear, so he controls you. Uh-oh. And the Undertaker's it's not on the right thing. So the Undertaker is he's the Jeepers Creepers looking dude from earlier with the crazy wings and shit, right? So, okay, now we understand how that started out. We saw the Undertaker. Not just Jeepers Creepers, but, it's very Jeepers Creepers-esque. Got a face like a vulture. Poor Bubba there don't know how to think for himself, you see. He hears the bell toll, and he goes, ah, yes, I must come out of the safety of my barricaded home and go to the church because you've called me. And that's what pretty much everybody in the town seems to have done, based on the fact that he turned around, had Bubba ring the bell, and then everybody in the town came to church, right? So that's part of the problem of people not thinking critically in today's world. You just hear something that you're being told based on an emotional desire. So it's either to make you feel angry, feel disgusted, feel fearful, feel upset, feel wronged, to feel special, to feel good. They're always targeting your emotions. The same way that this guy's targeting fear for his group of people he's preaching to, right? So the problem is, if somebody is questioning you or giving you information through a lens of trying to get an emotional reaction, that's what they're doing. They're being this preacher. And you have to think critically, because they're not going to give you the answers, especially say it's the media, because the media does this all the time and sensationalizes the news to get an emotional response. And when they do this, you set aside all reason. Every time people just set aside all reason, and then they just start acting upon emotion, when what they need to do, stop, slow down, take a look at your surroundings, and because of the fact that it's the media, you're not going to have the answers. You're going to have to think critically about what the hell is going on and why they're saying what they're saying and what else might be taking place, which they will write stories about, but they will be smaller articles you have to dig around for, typically speaking. And not only that, but they're just getting buried under the emotional stuff. So you have to kind of think critically about those things and just apply some reason and logic and find statistics that aren't just supporting what you're saying but are just unbiased statistics, and review all the information you can. See, this homeless, this like musician dude's not even fearful because he knows he's not a piece of shit, right? He's been thinking for himself and he hasn't been trying to control everybody.
Testing us, people. For 7 days we have been tormented because that son of perdition refuses to fear the Lord. How long must we suffer from his wicked ways? The Lord wants us to destroy the bad apple, and with his sword in my hand, I say, the blasphemer shall be stopped!
Oh shit. Calling everybody to violence now. His whole congregation. He's not even just a homeless musician. He's a fucking cripple. He's got to use the crutches to move around. He's not able just to walk.
Without sin, cast the first stone.
And everybody hypocritically threw a stone. None of them are without sin. Damn! Brained him. Brained him for sure. Look at that. Brutal. Now see, this is the outcome of just following what you're told emotionally. You can be led into acting out monstrous actions against other human beings because you have been led to believe that it's the right thing to do, because you were made to be emotionally upset and therefore more easily controlled and manipulated into being Bubba with the boulder. Oh yeah.
It ain't gonna be me!
Damn. Right at the jaw.
Father, you have brought this upon us!
He did. Inside his Bible, he keeps a revolver, so he hasn't even really been reading this Bible to everyone. He's just up there ready to have to blast the city. Like everyone in town might have to get blasted on. He's just ready for it. Jesus. Oh, shit. And then in the end, it didn't even matter. He pulls off this shot, but Bubba's already in the air, right? So you both got it. You both got, right? The Undertaker came and took care of business. Everybody was acting a hypocrite, and so this Angel of Death, one of the four horsemen, he wasn't having your shit today, son. It took forever for that thing to actually start rolling like it's supposed to put that cortisone on this mosquito bite. Jesus. So the whole damn town, just one big bloody mess. You got the Undertaker out there taking measurements to dig graves and build coffins. Everybody. Everyone got. That was a good video, though. I really enjoyed it. We're going to drop a like on there. That was good. I know it's a 12-year-old video. I don't give a shit. That was good. So I like the symbolism when the priest opens his Bible and shows it holds a gun. It wasn't real faith. It was his way of gaining authority, fear, and respect. Exactly. That's exactly my point right there, right? Can't believe a comment I made on a video 3 years ago about a religion that I've since left is going to be my mark online. 5,000 likes, really? And the replies turned into a cesspool of Twitter-esque fights. That figures. That's the internet. That's internet society right there in a nutshell. I like how the guitarist was the only one not covered in blood at the end. Yeah, because he wasn't evil, right? That's kind of what that is. He left unstained because of the fact that he wasn't evil. Every man was punished for the sins of one man, and the punishment was death. This is not foreshadowing, right? Like, the only foreshadowing that has is that everybody in this show except the Undertaker dies. However, who sinned there? The priest? That's not necessarily true. That wasn't his. He's not the only one who sinned. He had that whole city believing his lies and also sinning because he's not preaching actual gospel, right? So if you're following what he's saying, you are also sinning. It's not just the sins of one man. Everybody in that town was basically a victim of that one man's sin, leading them into deeper sin. The one-legged guy is splayed out like a crucifix after he dies. Yep. The carnage from the battle doesn't sully him. Sure didn't. And he's the only one with bright colors. It's very true. Another little delight is the Undertaker was just listening to his own song, smiling for the 7 days beforehand. And when the carnage ends, he starts whistling it. The Undertaker, like the crows he is surrounded by, is just there to clean up the mess. The guitar guy knows this and has no fear of him. Death happens. May as well enjoy life before it does. It seems like everybody has missed the fact that that dude was completely untouched, not just because he's the Undertaker. Like, he's one of the four horsemen and an angel of death. He's not supposed to be part of it. He's just supposed to be there to clean up the mess, right? It's literally just taking things that exist within the Bible and putting it into a format that's not necessarily the Bible. Guy who shouts, "It ain't gonna be me," is the first to be measured by the Undertaker. I didn't even catch that one. During the fight scene, look at the silhouettes. The townspeople become the monsters they feared. They always basically were. So there is that. This video really got to me, especially the part when the pastor said, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone," and everyone threw a stone. Like I said, not a single one of them was without sin, because none of you are Jesus. These people legitimately think that what they are doing is righteous. Exactly, and that's because of the pastor and the way that he's gone about mistelling the Bible and preaching falsehoods. Right? The pastors brainwash them so much that they think they're righteous enough to kill a man. That part messed me up. Exactly. Exactly. And that's my point. If somebody's coming after your emotions, they can turn you, like if somebody who's trying to prey on your emotions through just even telling you the news or sensationalizing like one party within politics and trying to make it so that it's this person doesn't agree with every single thing that I agree with politically, they must be a monster. They must be some ist or some phobe, something that is to be looked down on and hated. That person is acting as the pastor. And what they're doing is trying to brainwash you. And the fact is, a lot of these peoples that do this, a lot of these people, I guess that is technically correct because it's multiple people that do this, making it peoples. But a lot of them themselves are being brainwashed by a pastor of their own. And you don't realize it because a lot of the time the pastor is just simply the media and the way that they push a narrative and portray the news through falsehoods. They're regularly taking things out of context, which you can see happen all the time within the media. They left out context for 4 years under Donald Trump, and now they leave out context for the last 3 years under Biden, not explaining to you his actual condition, what the hell has been going on with him, or the context around things taking place with him. Meanwhile, in a way that makes Biden look really good and doing the opposite to Trump, so absolutely anything that he did looked really bad, which is worth looking into. The media is an arm of the system, and the system being not just the media, but government and the elites as a whole that want to control everything. And that the fact is that exists. That doesn't just exist in its conspiracy. This has existed forever. It's part of human nature. It's one of the flaws of mankind. It will always exist, and it exists within every single system of governance and economics that has ever existed. There's not a way to get rid of it. It always has and always will be part of us. And the fact is, the media is an arm of that. And they want you to believe something specific and not agree with each other about anything. That way they can do what they would like without you putting your foot down, saying no, and doing things that oppose them, like obtaining wealth. For instance, you could push for laws to get put into place by somebody who's not affiliated to any party, that just comes up from within your neighborhood to be the mayor of your town, and to start doing things like removing certain things that are in effect that impact you negatively, like large multinational conglomerate corporations being capable of purchasing up entire neighborhoods and putting up a portion of them for rent, but not even using the whole place for rent, so that it drives up the cost of housing. Therefore, you don't go purchase a home because it's unattainable to you. And that restricts you from being able to gain wealth and move from being lower working class and poor to middle class, upper middle class, to being one of the rich, to being one of the wealthy. That path exists, and property ownership has always been the path to it. The people who have been in charge have always owned the property. Communism and socialism. You can run the mill, sure, but we own the land, and we own the mill, and we own all the products that come out of that mill, and we will distribute them as needed so that society can have what it needs, or so that the community can have its fair share. And that's how those systems all operate. They all own something. Feudalism, you don't own any of this land. You don't even own the deer on it. So if you shoot one of those deer and we didn't give you explicit permission, and you don't give us that deer you killed, you are now poaching, and you will be put to death for this. That was Robin Hood. Robin Hood wasn't stealing coin and gold. Robin Hood was killing wild game and feeding the people because they were being so egregiously overtaxed that they could not afford food. And a lot of the time they were also taking more than their fair share of the crops and the meat that they were harvesting. So they weren't actually capable of supporting themselves the way they should have been. And the fact is, like I said, it exists in every system. People just want to call it a conspiracy because the media has made it a way of arguing that what they are doing is absolutely correct and should never be questioned, and they don't want anything else going on. It gives them wholesale control of the narrative, and it prevents you from having a path to wealth, because if you have a path to wealth, that means that you're capable of taking money and making it on your own, and they don't get to control that. People who want to have control and be in power don't want you to have these things, because it's what puts you in actual positions of power and independence outside of their influence and outside of their wealth. So you can do things about this. It's just a matter of, will you do things about this, or would you rather sit back and be one of the people in the congregation listening to the pastor tell you the lies about why you should be poor and have nothing, because the only way to make everybody equal in terms of equity, the way that it's being sold by the by certain groups of people in the country and society internationally at large, is that you need to have you need to own nothing. And if you, like, everybody should have equal resources. The only way to have equal resources, however, that they don't tell you, they just happily leave this out, is that for you to have equal resources, everybody must be equally poor and have no way to attain wealth and do better. And by restricting your path to that, we can all be equal.